What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Stephanie. So today I'm going to be talking about my tattoos and my piercings. I get questions a lot about my tattoos. What do they mean? What tattoos do I have? What piercings do I have? So I thought, I haven't really addressed it too much in the past, so I thought I'd go ahead and tell you what I have, and maybe I should tell you like what I have had done. I used to have quite a few piercings. At one point I had snake bites, which is lip piercings on each side here, and then I had one in the middle, which would technically be a labrae. I also have had my nostril pierced and can still get a piercing in there when I choose to wear that. I've had my eyebrow pierced on this side twice. Once I wore it for a while and it kind of rejected. Any kind of surface piercing can kind of grow out some. It grew out a little too far. It had not like came out. I didn't think it was going to come out, but it was just not as deep as I wanted it, and I had it re-pierced. As far as like the eyebrow piercing, it's very quick and pretty painless piercing. So if you're worried about the pain of the eyebrow piercing, it's nothing. The only thing I really didn't like is it did kind of get in the way of makeup application, and you would kind of knock it around, that kind of thing. As far as the lip piercings, this piercing here was the most painful piercing that I ever had. I do not know why. It was extremely painful. I think he hit a nerve. I'm not really sure, but it was very painful. The other two lip piercings I didn't even hardly feel. And talking to everyone, that's kind of the way the lip piercing is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be very painful at all. Mine on this side was just really painful. Now, my septum, I have it done now. This is the second time that I've had it done. The first time, I loved it. I didn't have a problem with it. I just took it out and it closed up. And then I decided to come back and get it re-pierced. As far as my nostril, it was my first piercing besides ears that I've ever had done. I had it done at the age of 21, and it's never closed up. I've wore jewelry in it for years, long enough that it just won't close. Cartilage, as long as you've had it in long enough, doesn't really close. As far as my ears, I have had tons and tons of ear piercings over the years. At one point, I probably had all the way up to here pierced. Most of them done with a gun, which I do not recommend that, but it was, you know, it was back in the day. So that was all of my facial piercings. I did have my tongue pierced. I've had my tongue pierced twice. I do not have my tongue pierced right now. I had it pierced also when I was 21, and I noticed that I just bit on it an awful lot. Like I would like literally chew on my piercing to the point that it sounded like I was crushing ice. It was breaking some of my teeth. I took it out. I decided to get it re-pierced, and pretty much was having the same thing happen. It's a piercing that I like. I think it's a fun piercing to have to play with, but not in like a sexual way. Just like I did like to like chew on it basically, but it's still, it'll wreck your teeth. It'll wreck your gums. If you chew on it like I did. It's a great piercing if you're not going to do that, but I guess I'm just one of those people, like I would do it without realizing it. So as far as what I got going on in my ears, I have my ears stretched to 00. Now they are ready to go up. I think the next size is like 7/16, I think. Like you can say, no, 70 it's not. I know I have one more size and then I'll be at a ½ inch. ½ inch is where I think my stopping point is going to be. I do like the way this is looking, so I don't think like too many more sizes up is where I want to go. And I have an upper helix or upper cartilage here. I need to get like a new jewelry for that because I'm missing a ball. I also have, if you can see that, I have a rook piercing, which I have wanted rook pierced forever, and it is this little flap right here. This is also missing a ball on the bottom. I need to get new jewelry for that. I've had my traguses, which are these little flaps here at your ears. I've had both of these pierced. These are piercings that I absolutely love, and will get these re-pierced again. I had to have surgery before I got pregnant with Liliana, and I took them out for the surgery and then just didn't feel like putting them back in, and when I tried to, they were grown up that I couldn't get the size that I wanted back in there. So I will definitely be getting these re-pierced. On this ear I also have it stretched up to a 00, and that is what the hole itself looks like. On this side I've also had many cartilage piercings. I've also had an industrial, which is one thing that I want to get back. So an industrial went from here to I think about right here, and it's just like a solid bar that goes in one piercing hole and then out the other. It doesn't go actually through your ear, which I think some people think it does. It doesn't do that. I also want a inner conch piercing, which does like go directly through your ear. That's one of the things I really want. But as far as piercings, the tragus will probably be the next one that I get, followed by the conch. And I also have had my nipples pierced. I don't have them pierced now. As far as nipple piercing, they were very painful. It wasn't like, oh my god, I'm gonna die, but it was extremely painful. The first one, you know, I got through it, and then the second one, because your adrenaline has kind of died down, hurts a lot worse. And unfortunately, like, the needle kind of got stuck, so there's like a little, like, having to mess with like stuff that's already tender to get the needle and the piercing through. But it was done, and I did have them for about 2 years, but unfortunately, like, they just never completely healed the way that they should. Like, they would get caught on my bra and like bleed and get hurt, and you would have to kind of start the healing process over again. As far as cartilage piercings, I've never had an awful time with cartilage piercings. I just kind of kept them clean, kept my fingers off of them, and they would heal up on their own. A lot of it also has to do with what jewelry you're in. As far as this piercing up here, if I do not have a hoop in it, it gets very tender. It does not like to have like a regular like piercing stud in it, but as long as I have a hoop in it, it is happy and it doesn't cause problems for me. Now, as far as tattoos, it took me a long time to get tattoos because, believe it or not, I'm actually afraid of needles. But around the age of 30, I had gotten divorced and I decided I was going to go and get a tattoo. Now, this right here, this skull with the little princess crown and heart eyes, was my first tattoo. And I saw a skull with a bow on it in a tattoo magazine and really liked it. And then Anastasia, when she was a little girl, had a skull with a princess crown on it, and I really liked the princess crown, so I actually took in both pictures and said I want a skull like that, but I want it to have a princess crown. And this is what he came up with, and I absolutely love it. And I loved the feeling of the tattoo. I loved just like the whole part of getting a tattoo. I actually kind of have an addiction to the smell of green soap, which is what they like are washing your tattoo off with. It's just like, oh, I love that smell. So I did this, came back 2 weeks later and said I want a full sleeve, which this is what came up with. So I have a bunch of like fairy girls. She looks more like a goth girl, and she is not colored in. I actually need to get her colored in. And this is actually a moon, which some people say like it looks like a cheese, it looks like a cookie. It is also not colored in. And the background is kind of what would be called cloud work almost, but I actually have like a lot of negative space things. Like I have a negative space bat here, I have negative space stars. I actually want to get my whole arm reworked, and it would be a lot different. So this one is going to be hard to see, but it is like a fairy girl. She's got wings. She's got like a skull t-shirt. Kind of like that. They're all kind of tough chicks in their own way. So this is kind of what I consider my divorce arm, or like my girl power arm. Here in the crook of my elbow is a heart, which is kind of like freehand. Let me just tell you, this part right here kind of hurts like hell. and your wrist right here kind of feels like they're slashing your wrist some. Everything else was pretty easy. I love the skull here, which definitely looks like a Jack Skellington skull, and then I have a doll that kind of looks like anime. A lot of the things I have on this arm kind of looks anime. I get that a lot. And I have some things up here that are not filled in like this. Right here is actually like an outline of what would be another negative bat. Now whether that bat actually gets colored in, I'm not positive. I do already have like a tattoo artist that is going to be working on my arm, but I'm not sure like the direction that we're going to go in yet. And then I have another girl, which Anastasia loves her because she actually has like a tattoo. So my tattoos have tattoos, and it comes all the way up here, so he capped it off already. What I'd really love is for something to come up on my shoulder to kind of like, where it just wouldn't be like a stark kind of thing anymore. But that's what it is, and I'm going to put my hand here because I haven't shaved, but there's another lady here that has skulls that I have not had colored in. And basically the reason why that arm is not finished is that the guy that I had working on my arm that I absolutely loved was in a motorcycle wreck and can't tattoo anymore. So I had to find other people that I liked, and I also kind of like held off on doing anything with that one because I felt that that was his project, and if he was able to do it, I wanted him to be able to do it. It just doesn't look like that's going to happen. So let's talk about my chest, and I'll move it down some. So this is what my chest piece looks like, and I love this. I love that it really fits the shape of my body good, and I feel like it's nice and wide, like as you can see. Like even when I have my stuff pulled up, you can see like the edges of it, and you'll always see like this, usually in shirts. I usually try to always keep a shirt down low enough where you can kind of see this. I love roses. They're my favorite flower, and I love hearts. This arm kind of like has a lot of skulls because y'all know I love skulls, but I love hearts too. So I found this guy through my old job at the gas station. Everybody would come in and talk about my tattoos and say, oh, like you need to go check out this guy here, he's great. So I did. I checked him out. I really liked his portfolio, I liked his work, and I said like, hey, I'm looking to get a chest piece. I want it to look like this and this and this. And he really does like American traditional tattoos, which is more like fully colored traditional pieces, which is what this is. And there's something red on my tattoo, I don't know. So I wanted a heart locket without a key. I wanted it more like a gem, and I wanted roses. And basically I have one rose for each kid. So I have 4 kids, I have 4 roses, and then they have my heart all locked up. So that's what this kind of symbolizes. And I requested that the gem in the middle be purple because I love purple. I love just the shape of this, and I love the bright colors, and I think this will always like stay nice and bright. And if it doesn't, then I will definitely get it. I would definitely get it touched up. I have not had my arm touched up. That's one of the things I want to just go in and like get everything brightened up and add a few more things, because I feel like, especially like right here, I have still a lot of space here. So, and that's actually what the guy that did my chest, he kind of suggested. He said, you still have like a lot of space on your arm to add some other things. As far as like the pain of my chest, the outline to me always hurts worse. Some people think the coloring hurts worse. I can kind of see where they think that. My biggest thing, like if you get the outline and you get the shading done at the same time, the shading kind of is crappy when you're having to do shading and color, which is what he did. He just did the outline, and then actually after, when we were going to start the color, he's like, I don't know why I didn't do the shading, because you know, you handled it great. I don't know why I didn't do the shading first. I don't know why I didn't do the shading when I did the outline, because it would have really saved us some time and you wouldn't be in so much pain. So like when he does the shading and then he has to color in like over the shading or around the shading, you're kind of getting into where like areas that is already kind of healed and you're going back over it. That kind of hurts. Right up here, if you can see like where this top of the locket was probably the most painful. because it kind of feels like when you're stretched up, it feels like it's cutting your throat a little bit. So I can imagine like this area is going to be like crappy if I ever get it tattooed, because it didn't feel that great there. But like literally you would count to like, I would count to like 60 and it would be done, you know? Like it was so quick that you could handle it for that amount of time. And that's kind of like how, like I just kind of like looked at something like on the wall and just kind of like said, okay, I'm going to count and he's going to be done. And it's almost like he'll lift off to like get some more color, and it's like a little break, because it doesn't necessarily like hurt when he's not doing it. So that was like little tiny breaks. I don't particularly like to take a whole bunch of breaks during a tattoo, because I feel like that's when it gets sore and then you have to go back in and it starts hurting, where like after it's been going for a while you kind of get numb. So I would definitely say this part right here and then going up to right here was the most painful. As it got further away, it didn't really hurt. Now the top, because this is like almost on the top of my boobs a little bit, it depends on like how my bra is for that day, but it is like on the very top of my boobs. That didn't necessarily hurt, but it felt weird. I don't know how to explain that, but like right here where you have bone, that, you know, it was painful. As far as, was this more painful than my arm? I don't really think so. I definitely think the inside of my elbow here was probably the most painful, and that also could be that this to me was me getting used to having tattoos, where this I'd already, you know what tattoos were about. I knew that I have pretty high pain tolerance and I sit pretty well for tattoos. So yeah, I love this piece. So by the same guy is my little thumb tattoo, and it's a little thumb skull. I just think it's like adorable, and he put like a little break in the skull for some reason, and it just gives it a lot of personality and character. I actually want to get a female skull here with like a little bow and maybe like heart eyes on this thumb. That will probably be my next tattoo that I get, just because, you know, that's pretty cheap and you can heal really well. And as far as healing, my chest healed really good. I just kind of wore like these kind of shirts, kind of kept everything off of it, like when I was around the house, kind of like that. And when I was not out of the house, I kind of kept my shirt like this too, and then just have like a hoodie on, because it was during the winter when I got it. So there wasn't like bra straps or something on the tattoo. I just made sure that I always kept it clean and kept ointment on it, and it healed really nice and vibrant. I didn't have much problems with it at all. My thumb, the only thing that was really a problem is I had to kind of not wash dishes for a few days, so I had to get my kids to wash dishes. Other than that, it healed fine. I did hit it like once or twice, and I was like, oh no, please don't let the ink move around, but it didn't, so I was really happy. As far as my arm, it's been quite a few years, so I can't really remember, but I know if you see up here, which is part of the original tattoo I had here, I actually pulled out some color accidentally with just not knowing how to heal a tattoo properly. I actually pulled out color from like scabbing, but that will also kind of be covered up with the rest of this tattoo, and that's why he didn't like fix that, because he said that will just be fixed as we go in and work that. So my last two tattoos are on the back of my neck. I will turn around and let you see those. I hope you can see those good. So this has been my last tattoo that I got. Is number 13. I don't know what it'll look like backwards. I actually got it on Friday the 13th. Not this past one, but the one before that. A lot of tattoo shops have like a Friday the 13th special, and that's where I got that one, and I wanted it purple. This one did not hurt at all, and the guy was like kind of surprised, because he said that can be a sensitive area, but that didn't hurt. Moving down to this one, which I call my skull fly, I got it at some point while I was still getting my sleeve done. I went to a different tattooer just because I was like ready for something different. I've been working on my arm for a while, and it's just like, you know, let me get this. She gave me a good deal on it, and I really liked it. The only thing is when she was filling in the skull, she used like a lime green color that actually like completely fell out because she'd never used the color before. But luckily enough, I went back and she completely touched up the tattoo for free. I just gave her a good tip. I love the colors in it. I think it really shows a lot of my personality because I do like girly stuff, but then I'm like, you know, all into skulls and goth and stuff. But this one was probably my all-time most painful. As you can see, it's right on that bone, and you have a lot of nerves right there. So it was pretty painful. I also think like she stopped a lot for smoke breaks. You know, which I understand if you're a smoker. I don't smoke, so it kind of got on my nerves a little bit. But yeah, it was pretty painful. I never really thought like, oh, I'm not going to finish it. But I just thought like, ow, this hurts really bad. And I actually had people like, oh wow, you're sitting so still. My wife got a tattoo the other day and she was screaming. But I do know that I sit well for tattoos. I don't have anything on my back. I want to at some point get something down my back. I'm going to turn it back around and talk to you facing the front. Well, that was all of my tattoos and piercings. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll definitely say like my next 3 tattoo projects that I will probably get but haven't really planned is I do want a girl skull on my finger. I want something on my back, but that'll probably be low on my list. I do want some thigh pieces because I think those are like really nice looking, especially on women. And I want this arm. I'm thinking for this arm a whole Doctor Who sleeve, like the TARDIS up here, and like maybe a fez hat, and just all kinds of different like of the monsters and the Daleks, all kinds of things going down here. I think those are awesome. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you have tattoos, what your tattoo ideas are, when are you planning on getting them. If you have any questions about getting tattoos or getting piercings or how to heal them, I'll do my best to answer them. I'm not a piercer or a tattoo artist, but I have been getting tattoos and getting piercings for long enough that I kind of know some little tips if you would like those. And I'll talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye.